Welcome to What's Trending live from South by Southwest Interactive. We are coming to you live from the Samsung Blogger Lounge in Austin, Texas, with some amazing people who we are talking to today, including someone I love, a great friend, an amazing entrepreneur, Tony Hsieh of Zappos. Give it up for Tony, who's really changing all of downtown Vegas. It started with moving your headquarters, but it's becoming so much more. You're revamping, and you're the mayor of downtown Vegas now with the downtown project. Let's talk about how that came to be.
So we announced about 2 years ago that we were taking over the old Las Vegas City Hall. The city literally just moved out of there less than a year ago, and we're right now in the construction process, about 6 months away. And we've actually been looking for a place to build a campus where we can house everyone under one roof for the past, at least 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Right now we're spread amongst 3 different buildings. We're in a suburb of Vegas. And it was actually surprisingly hard to find a place where we could actually do that and have enough land to expand upon. And then the City Hall opportunity became available. It's right in the heart of downtown Vegas. And we started getting really excited and brainstorming about what would we want in our dream campus. And we toured campuses like Nike and Google and Apple. And I remember Nike had this running track around one of their buildings, and then they had a pub inside one of the others. So we thought to ourselves, we need one of those.
Yeah.
And then there's actually jail cells in City Hall, so we're looking into turning that into a speakeasy bar, possibly.
Very cool. That's the kind of company I want to work at.
And so we surveyed our employees and asked them, what do you want in your dream campus? And they told us gym and doggy daycare and so on. And as we got all these suggestions back, we started thinking about it more. And one, we realized that we couldn't fit everyone into the campus itself. And the other thing we realized was that those other campuses, Nike, Google, Apple, were great for employees, but they're actually really insular and don't really integrate or contribute to the community around them. And so we decided to actually flip the entire thing inside out and build a campus that's more analogous to NYU, where the campus kind of blends in with the city and you don't really know where one begins or the other ends. And rather than just invest in ourselves, to invest in the community and the surrounding ecosystem. In the long run, that's just going to help us attract and retain more employees.
I just find it fascinating because it's such an interesting case study of how you've built such an interesting corporate culture, which I hate saying the word corporate with you and what you do, but then you're now really contributing to the community. You're building an entire Zappos world that you can extend beyond Vegas at a certain point.
Well, we're not looking to make downtown Vegas Zappos world, and Zappos will be an important part of the ecosystem, but it's actually, there's actually a separate company called Downtown Project, which has it's just privately funded by myself and a few other people, no outside investors, and it has a $350 million budget. And so we can kind of take our time and do things right instead of focusing on these short-term ROI goals or cash flow needs that most land developers or building developers focus on. We have this concept of ROC, return on community, and really investing in, it's a combination of small businesses to help build a sense of neighborhood and community, so coffee shops, restaurants, bars, and so on. And we have something called Vegas Tech Fund, where we've invested in a lot of tech startup companies that have relocated to downtown Vegas from other states, even other countries, and investing in arts and education and music, and then also investing in real estate.
What do you look for in terms of investments? Like when you're going to invest in a company, there's so many people that might have startup ideas here that say, could I be one of those people? What do you look for?
So it's kind of analogous to our interview process at Zappos. When we interview people, we do 2 sets of interviews. The hiring manager and his or her team will interview for the standard stuff, but then our HR department does a separate set of interviews purely for culture fit. For Vegas Tech Fund, you can go to vegastechfund.com and see what our investment criteria is and some of our portfolio companies. One, it has to be a good investment, but 2, they have to somehow contribute to the downtown Vegas community. So even if something's this amazing technology or investment, if it doesn't help contribute or grow the community somehow, then we'll pass on that.
What have you learned in the process as an entrepreneur and a leader in terms of really building community in a real way?
I think one of the things that we realized over the years, so Zappos was founded in '99, so almost 14 years now, and we've really our business strategy is culture is the #1 priority, and we use that as our strategy for building our brand and customer service and employee experience. And so one of the things we kind of realized over the past couple of years is in taking lessons from the co-working world as well as from Zappos culture that culture is to a company as community is to a city. It's the same concept, just at a different scale. And so a lot of the things that we've kind of figured out slowly over the years at Zappos, turns out you can actually apply them to a city level as well. So for example, at Zappos, we actually do a lot of thinking about how do you architect serendipity, which sounds like a weird thing, and we stole this acronym ROL from Jim Collins' latest book, Great by Choice, Return on Luck, and actually think about how do we get more lucky encounters to happen. So in the Zappos environment, for example, we actually shut down most of the doors and force employees through a single door in order to get more collisions. Yes. And we also think a lot about office density. So average density in the US is 200 or 300 square feet per employee. At our current offices in Henderson, it's 120 square feet, and in our new offices, we're actually targeting sub 100. And the reason for that is because research has shown when someone sits twice as far away from you, you don't see them half as often, you see them half as often squared. So a quarter as often. It's kind of like how that inverse square gravity law works. And so similar thinking on the city level. In fact, there's a sky bridge that connects the car parking garage to City Hall, and we're actually shutting that down and forcing employees out onto the streets in order to get more interactions and collisions within the city. And for some of the office buildings that we've acquired, even though there's plenty of parking inside those office buildings, we're actually requiring new tenants to actually park a couple blocks away so that they have to crisscross the city. And so we prioritize collisions over convenience.
That's fascinating. You're playing like not God in some way.
It's like really thinking about
orchestrating
the city as
situations.
a greenhouse. You know, what is going to actually get the most ideas to flourish? What's actually going to result in more innovation? Because research has shown that every time the size of a city doubles, productivity or innovation per resident actually increases by 15%. But when companies get bigger, productivity per employee generally goes down. So and that 15% is kind of the accidental historical average. So I think if we're actually thoughtful about how we're approaching these things and really thinking about how do you get more collisions and how do you help create a culture where people want to talk to each other and share and collaborate and so on, and that'll serve as kind of a multiplier, then you can actually get much greater gains than that. And then kind of create this virtuous cycle between and hybrid between corporation, and community, and city.
I find it fascinating. I've checked it out. I encourage all of you, if you're in Vegas, like they do tours. You can see everything that they're doing, including bringing crazy sculptures and installations from Burning Man. Like some people go to Burning Man just hang. You go to take the installations and bring it to downtown Vegas.
I think there's a lot of interesting things you can learn from Burning Man. But yeah, we are looking to we're partnering with the founders of Burning Man to bring large-scale art to downtown Vegas.
That's so cool.
To make the city more walkable, get people to walk that extra block or two.
Very nice. All right, we're going to open the discussion right now. Does anyone have any questions? I have another question because I just like asking questions. Anyone? Do you want to? Oh. Is someone going there to the mic? Oh, you. All right, I can go ahead. I wasn't sure. You're also doing South by Southwest is heading to Vegas. So what will you be collaborating in that way as well with them, or you have your own festival that you're creating?
Yeah. So there's two different things. South by Southwest, I think it's called V2V, is happening in August, and I haven't actually been directly involved with that. It's someone else on our team, but from what I understand. It's going to be a smaller group initially as kind of a test run, and then initially I think it's going to be at the Cosmopolitan Casino, and our hope is long term it'll actually move downtown where all the Vegas tech startup scene is happening. The other festival you're talking about is actually happening in October. It's the arts and music festival called Life is Beautiful, and it's actually the music is being programmed by the same people that do Outside Lands in San Francisco.
Very cool.
And we're actually shutting down 15 city blocks and fencing off actually the entire 15 blocks, which has never been done in any city, actually.
Breaking the rules.
That's pretty exciting. And then it'll also include arts and culinary and have speakers and so on. So happening this October.
That's a lot to manage. I mean, how do you decide what you're going to focus on when you're building out a whole community?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably literally 100 different projects going on, anything from bike sharing to co-working to First Friday, which is another monthly arts and music festival that draws about 25,000 people, and Life is Beautiful, and then all these tech companies. And so our philosophy is actually to try to keep the downtown project team itself pretty small, but instead invest in entrepreneurs that can do what they're passionate about, but come up with a sustainable way of really doing that, what they're passionate about. So the Life is Beautiful person is passionate about music festivals, and so we've invested in it as a business investment.
And I know that Austin was an inspiration to you even in creating this, to bring a bit of Austin to downtown Vegas.
Sure, we have a question over here.
Okay.
Yeah, and definitely Austin has been a bit of inspiration.
Let's go to that question. Interactivity here.
Hi, Tony. My name is Ryan D'Alessio. I'm just curious with the new uproar from Yahoo working from home, the ban. Do you agree with that? And I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
I can't really comment on Yahoo, whether that's right for Yahoo or not. I don't know enough about their culture and what their goals are. I would say at Zappos, for example, we've experimented and tested whether our, we call them customer loyalty reps, but our call center reps can work from home. And what we found that there's actually, it has an impact on our culture, and there's other issues as well. So we generally want employees to be, we think that in-person interaction is really important. And so historically, we've always been about trying to get people to come into the office. But now with our move downtown, which is less than 6 months away, I think there's actually the really interesting question of, do we actually want them in the office, or do we want them kind of sprinkled around the community, and not just interacting with each other, but also interacting with other entrepreneurs and artists and people from the creative class. And the reason for that is because research has shown that most innovation actually comes from something outside your industry being applied to your own. So it's those random encounters that you kind of lose a little bit of as you try to keep employees just talking to themselves.
We have 2 other questions. Bring it on, guys.
Hi, I'm Andy Plesser with BTV. And Tony, I have a question about Amazon. It's out there big. What's the implications for you guys for retail in general, and where might it be going, and what are your thoughts?
So we don't actually really interact with Amazon very much, and so Amazon acquired Zappos a little over 3 years ago, but it's very different from most of their other acquisitions in that, as a prerequisite, we told them we'd only do it if we could remain independent, grow our brand and culture and our way of doing business our way, which for most of their other companies, the plan is to be integrated into the parent company. So from our point of view, it's as if we swapped out our previous board of directors with a new one, and it's been over 3 years, and they've remained true to that. I interact with them once a quarter for a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and like the equivalent of a board meeting, and that's about it. One thing that I think is really interesting is I actually brought this is 3D printing, and
That is so cool.
that's actually a little shoe, but they're actually 3D printing normal sized shoes now, and so I think it'll be really interesting to see.
They as an
what
Amazon
happens.
or MakerBot?
Who
did this?
Ping Fu gave it to me.
Okay.
And so she's with a company called GeoMagic that does 3D printing, and then I think they actually just got acquired by another 3D printing company. And so I think, like, if and when that happens, like 20 years from now, that changes the entire industry, right? Like right now, the process is they're manufactured in China, and then they get shipped over to the U.S. and the decisions as to which styles to make and how much to make of them is made 6 months, sometimes a year ahead of time, and you're trying to predict the future. Whereas here, you can do it on demand. And I think actually the really interesting thing about 3D printing is going to be, and I think the prediction is actually in less than 20 years when 3D printers can print out 3D printers. And then you just
That's very meta.
and then you just drop
Sure,
one in
right here.
Africa, and then the world's completely changed.
Well, that take away the middle. I mean, consumers can create their own products. So what does that say for companies like yours or retailers in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of crazy thinking about it. So,
It blows your mind, doesn't it, Tony?
yes.
Next question.
Hey man, Scott Perry, how are you? Thank you very much for the shoes. Just ordered these right before
Yeah.
South by. Great tread, very comfortable, awesome service. Just I've got a big focus on social visual, and I'm wondering how are platforms like Tumblr and Pinterest affecting future layouts of your product as content and helps in hoping to sell more using those type of aesthetics?
So I don't know anything about all the, like, stuff is happening so quickly, and there's all these new I don't even know what you call them, the social tools, media networks,
Media jargon.
things that I don't even have. I can't keep up with them, and so I'm not the right person to ask. And
That you kind of do. You're known to be social, but
the other type of social, though, like
real social.
the drinking
IRL.
social. But that's actually part of the reason why I think other energetic young entrepreneurs can do a much better job of keeping up on that. And so I think that's part of the reason why this whole strategy of really integrating with downtown with the entire ecosystem is really important, because I definitely know I personally can't keep up with it. I doubt any single company can always be at the forefront of whatever the next social thing of the day is. And so I think you really need that cross-pollination with other people that are good, ultimately can be better at it and faster at it.
I know, lastly, Samsung has a STEM initiative, and they're really looking at empowering tomorrow's leaders through what they're doing. And education is also important to you and what you're building with your community. So can you speak on that?
Yeah, so I actually don't like using the word education, because for most people it implies kind of this standard classroom model. And so our whole strategy at Downtown Project is we have something we refer to as the 3 C's, and it's collisions, getting people to have those serendipitous interactions, community, and co-learning. So we use the word co-learning because there's more ways to learn than just in a standard classroom environment. That being said, we're actually opening up an early childhood center later this summer, initially 6 weeks through kindergarten, but eventually it'll include K through 12.
You're going to be a principal.
Not me, but someone will. And it's actually going to be focusing on teaching kids entrepreneurship and creativity using the latest research from neuroscience. So.
Very cool. Well, definitely check it out if you are in Vegas, downtownproject.com. Go see it. Follow him on Twitter at Zappos, and also Downtown Project has a Twitter.
Yes, and
We'll put that in the
will
description
magically
below.
appear
It will
somewhere.
magically appear. Give it up for
Yes.
Tony Hsieh.
Thank you.